I audible?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay, excellent. Let me try to share my screen.
Yeah, sure. So Neha is a PhD student at Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. So since we are running out of time, I will just give the stage to Neha and let her start her presentation.
Yeah, so you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Thank you, everyone. I'm Neha. I'm a graduate student at Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, and I present our work on Byzantine multiplexer channels. This is a joint work with Mayank Bakshi, who is moving to Arizona State University, and Bikash Kumar De, who is a professor at IIT Bombay, and my advisor, Professor Vinod Prabhakaran. And this is based on these three papers. Okay, so the work is motivated by security in wireless IoTs. In all the current applications, the security in all sorts of wireless networks is handled at the application layer of the system. And it uses modern cryptography like public key encryption, digital signatures, etc. And it's based on computational assumptions, and often it gives computational guarantees. However, communication happens at the physical layer of the system, and it is possible to provide security at the physical layer itself. And it uses randomness of the channel as a cryptographic resource rather than some computational assumptions. And not just computational guarantees, it in fact gives information theoretic guarantees. And physical layer security doesn't require any shared keys or computational assumptions. And yeah, the history goes all the way back to Weiner, who introduced wiretap channel, which is a channel from a sender to receiver, in presence of an eavesdropper who wants to snoop on the communication and wants to figure out what the sender is sending to the receiver. There are also other channels like the jamming channels that Yihan was talking about in the previous talk, where the purpose of the jammer is to make sure that the sender and receiver cannot communicate. However, all these models, they assume that there are some users in the system who are going to be adversarial or who are going to be malicious. And there are some other users who would always be honest. For example, the sender is always assumed to be honest, and jammer or the eavesdropper is always assumed to be malicious. But we cannot expect such sort of guarantees in an IoT system, which has devices of different security levels all interconnected together. So we want to see what sort of channel model or a physical layer security model should be there for an IoT system. Yeah, so this is what it says, that there cannot be fixed, safe or malicious devices for an IoT system. And to start, let us take an example of a, say, smart home, which has all sorts of devices talking to a central hub via a wireless network. And if there's a malicious device in such a system, this device can potentially cause a lot of problem. It can snoop on communication between some users, or it can sabotage the communication and jam the channel altogether. It can also mount man-in-the-middle kind of attack, where it can take a message from a user and send some other message to the central hub, impersonating that user. And imagine if such an attack happens in a vehicle, like, say, there's self-driving cars and stuff. So these things can potentially be really bad for such systems, right? So we would like to model these systems in an information theoretic way. And to see this, let's try to only focus on, say, 3 senders and a receiver, and they are trying to communicate over a wireless system, okay, in presence of, say, a malicious device. Who could the malicious device could be any one of them. Okay? Now, now the question is, what sort of security guarantees would we like to have in such a system? There might be some devices which are, let's say, extremely critical. For example, the CCTV or the locking system. And in presence of such devices, we might want to make sure that communication happens even when there are some malicious users in the system. So this is our first model, which we call the model of reliable communication. Here we want to ensure that honest users can communicate reliably even in the presence of malicious users. So yeah, even in presence of malicious users, the central hub should be able to receive messages from these two devices. On the other hand, if the devices are not extremely critical, it might be all right for the system to shut down completely and just say that, oh, there are some malicious users in the system and I can't communicate. This model is called the model of authenticated communication. Here, when all users are honest, we would like to make sure that there is reliable communication. However, if there's a malicious device, it is all right for a system to not communicate and just say that there are some malicious users in the system. Now, in this model, though, we are not asking the receiver to identify who the malicious device is. Okay? And this would be the subject of the next model. This is the model of communication with intruder detection. Here, again, when everybody is honest, we want reliable communication. But if there's a malicious device in the system, we would like to make sure that the receiver knows the identity of the malicious device so that we can go ahead and fix that device. So we are going to be talking about these three different models of communication. And yeah, if you have any clarification questions at this stage, I would be happy to take them. All right, so if not, let me go ahead and talk about these models. But first of all, what is a wireless channel? We would be considering a very abstract mathematical model of a channel. And we will only focus on the uplink. That is, there are multiple senders who are sending messages to a central unit. This is a multiple access channel. Let's try to see what a multiple access channel is. So let me just describe a two-user multiple access channel. A multiple access channel is just a conditional distribution on the output alphabet conditioned on the input. So it just gives a distribution of the output on given inputs. For example, a Gaussian multiple access channel would have its output as the sum of the input symbols with the added Gaussian noise. And this model is very abstract, okay? So we can also talk about, say, an XOR channel, okay? Here, the input is binary, and the output is also binary, and it is the XOR of the two inputs. So this channel is not even random. It's a completely deterministic channel. But how does communication happen over a channel? So the users would want to send some messages. Those messages get encoded into code words, and the channel acts on each symbol independently across time, and they are sent over multiple copies of the channel. The receiver receives the vector, decodes it into a message pair. So for example, for the XOR channel, the code words would be just binary strings. So in a multiple access channel that we will be focusing on, encoding and decoding strategies are known to everybody, but the messages are hidden, and the job of the senders are to make sure that receiver gets to know their messages. There are no shared keys here. Now, the performance of a user for a channel is measured by what is called a rate. And what is a rate? We can think of rate as the, on an average, number of bits sent per use of channel. Okay? So we would be talking about rate pairs. So so the rate for user 1 and the rate for user 2. And capacity region is defined as the set of all rate pairs which are achievable for a channel. For example, for the XOR channel that we looked at, the capacity region is this triangular region. Okay? And so, I mean, let's try to understand, say, one point here. So here we say that rate pair 1, 0 is achievable. What does it mean? This means that user 1 can communicate at rate 1, when user 1 is communicating at rate 0. And a simple strategy to do this is to ask user 2 to always send zeros. In this case, the receiver would be receiving x1. So with each channel use, user 1 can send 1 bit across the channel. So it can get rate 1. Similarly, we can define another channel. It's called an integer addition channel. There are again binary inputs, and the output is the sum of these two inputs. And by treating them as integers, so when both of them are 1, the output would be 2. Both of them are 0, the output is 0. When exactly one of them is 1, the output is 1. And for this channel, this following is the rate region. And all of this is when both users are honest, okay? And here I'm defining these channels because we would be using these channels as some toy examples to get a flavor of our results for the malicious case. So let's come back to our problem. We wanted to talk about these 3 communication models over a multiplexes channel, right? So when both users are honest, in all 3 models, we would like to make sure that the decoder decodes correctly, right? However, when one user is malicious, say user 1, in reliable communication, we would like to make sure that user 2 can communicate reliably. So that is, the output should be correct for user 2. Okay. And in authenticated communication, we wanted to make sure that the output is either correct for the honest user, or the decoder is allowed to give up, saying that there is some malicious user in the system, there is some adversary. So this is the decoding guarantee that we want for the authenticated communication problem. And for the third problem of communication with intruder detection, the receiver, while giving up, should also tell the identity of the adversarial user. That is, user 1 is malicious. And there are similar guarantees when user 2 is malicious. And of course, no guarantees when both users are malicious, right? So this is our model, and these are the decoding guarantees. Now, let us look at each of them one after another. So let's start with the problem of authenticated communication. Here, in the presence of adversary, the system is allowed to shut down by saying that there is an adversary in the system. Okay? In this case, it turns out that for both XOR channel as well as integer addition channel, we can in fact get the exact same capacity region that was there when both users were honest. And not just for these 2 channels. In fact, we can get the capacity region, the same capacity region as that of the case when both are honest, for most of the channels. And this is because we can use a very short authentication phase after a code word. And this authentication phase is there just to make sure that both users are honest. And this is able to make sure that there is no rate hit because the size of authentication phase is really small. Okay? So this result is showing that without any loss in performance, for most of the channels, we can in fact get stronger guarantees than the usual where under honest setting messages are correct, right? Now let's look at the reliable communication problem. Over here, honest users should communicate even in the presence of adversary, right? Well, this problem here looks very close to the jamming channel problem that was the subject of the previous talk, right? Over there, there was an external jammer who wanted to jam the channel. Communication between, say, Alice and Bob was there, right? And here, this is the oblivious case because the jammer doesn't know the message here, right? So, and this is solved. So the best that rate that user 1 can get is actually the best jamming channel rate, which is possible for user 1. And similarly for user 2. So the capacity region in this case is just the square capacity region. that can be obtained by the ability revealing channel capacity. Nonetheless, the problem becomes interesting when there are more than 2 users. So this is just for like to get a flavor, right? Okay, so let's try to understand reliable communication deeply in a specific channel, say the XOR channel. And suppose user 2 is adversarial in this case. Now, if user 2 is adversarial, it can send anything into the channel, right? So suppose user 1 is honest and it sends a code word, a valid code word, okay, which is a code word of some message, say M1. Now, user 2 being malicious can send anything, and in particular, this user,
Neha,
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but we are running out of time. If you could,
Sure. How many minutes do I have?
We are already 5 minutes behind our schedule.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks. Okay. So yeah, it turns out that for both XOR channel as well as integer addition channel, reliable communication is not possible, even though authenticated communication was possible and we could get the entire rate region, right? And for the problem of communication with adversary with intruder detection, we get performance which is somewhere in between, and as expected because the guarantees are somewhere in between, right? So yeah, I mean the main idea was to introduce these C problems to you, and I hope that has been communicated. So we looked at these 3 different models, and in fact, for general channels, we have characterized the capacity region for these problems. I mean, it is characterized completely for authenticated communication as well as reliable communication, but there are some inner and outer bounds for this middle problem. But there's complete characterization of the positivity of rate for all 3 problems. And it would be interesting to look at Gaussian channels or Gaussian feeding channels, which would be more towards the practical applications. And also, in general, channels with power constraints. And we have just shown existential results, so it would also be interesting to look at coding strategies for these kind of problems. Thank you. That's all, actually. I can take questions if there are any.
Is there any questions? If there is no question, let's thank our speaker Neha again. And I will hand over to the next session chair, George.